so next we're going to focus on something I don't think we've done before, the backhand flick. Can anyone tell me when we would use a backhand flick or the advantages of a backhand flick? It's a shot that's so popular now, you can't really get to a high level without it. Why?
To turn a short backspin into an attack.
Yeah. Right, so if you're serving to somebody and you can give them your heaviest backspin, your heaviest topspin, whatever, your trickiest serves, and they're flicking, how do you feel?
Not good.
Pretty helpless, right? You feel like you can't do anything. So that's going to make you very uncomfortable. So with the flick, when would we want to flick? Whenever, as much as possible, yeah? Right? Every chance that we think we can flick, I would flick. So the flick, it's a lot easier of topspin and no spin, right? A lot easier to generate to counter that. Backspin, it's harder, but still very much possible and probably more effective as well. If you can flick backspin, you're reversing all your opponent's backspin into topspin and side spin, make it very, very uncomfortable for them. Add anything to that, please?
Yeah, so a little bit more, maybe we can swap. I'm not a flicker, but I will maybe demonstrate a couple. So off the backspin side, you do want to hit the ball on the side. So if we think this is backspin or backspin coming to me, you want to hit it on the side of the ball to lift it. If you hit on top, you're fighting a lot of the backspin. On the side, it seems to have a little bit less spin, so you can lift it a little bit easier from the side when it's heavy backspin. When it's topspin, on the other hand, you want to hit it, or you can hit it on top a little bit more than the side. So when it's heavy backspin, the elbow needs to come up. That's going to be your leverage for acceleration, because really you can't go lift like you do off the table, right? So you generate that by lifting the elbow like that. So I'll serve simple backspin, and he'll lift off backspin. So you see the elbow, how it comes up, and the awesome acceleration that he's got right under the ball. That's against backspin. You can see the amount of spin and side spin that he's generating with a very little action, but super explosive. Another thing to note is that the mechanic is quite stable all the way. You don't see inconsistent movement. If you look at his mechanic, it's quite steady. It's not like wobbling too much. It's very solid. I wouldn't say that he's super loose. There's a little bit of tension in that motion.
Especially if it's pure backspin, right? Because I've got to generate so much side spin to counter the ball. Because if I was to go forward like a normal flick, then do backspin. Let's do backspin. Backspin again. If I was to go forward, that happens, right? I'm not generating enough lift over the ball. So I have to go around it initially and then go forward to bring the ball down, right? If he was to serve with backspin, side spin, then I can hit the back of the ball and I can counter it going forward, okay? So that's when I'd look for a bit more power. So I don't need to go around as much. But if it's pure backspin, or even pure no spin, you have to go around just to generate that little bit of arc over them.
And if his topspin is short, he can just go over the top on this one. You'll see that now his elbow is not very high. Look at his elbow, it's pretty much on the side, as opposed to backspin. See how that elbow instantly comes up to have leverage from the forearm there. Topspin over the top, backspin on the side a lot more. All right? And
think of it like when we do our backhand push, we have room here to come down, right? If we were to play this shot over the table, we have no room, right? The table is here. So we have to generate that room from up here, coming around the ball. Okay? Find some more distance here to accelerate. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for demonstrating.
So what's your signal to not flick and just push it out?
I personally would try to flick everything. So like if I was to like give my receives in a percentage, it would be 70% flick, 25% short, and then the occasional long ball. So my primary receive would be a flick. Okay? Now it's different if someone is very fast, probably faster than me. I wouldn't look to flick as much just because they're quick to counter and take advantage of that. maybe try to exploit the short game or catch them off by surprise, but generally a flick is the strongest receive you can do.
I'd say from my experience, because I've played a lot of flickers, strong flicking players, and the only way I've managed to stop players from flicking is heavy backspin, because it's the hardest one to flick, deep, low. Very hard to flick that ball. Like I could force maybe a mistake if I do that one. It's going to be super hard to flick. Still short serve, low and fast. If I do it short, very easy to flick for a very good player or anyone that is a flicker. But a bit longer, that's harder to flick, as you can see. It's a little bit harder. So if there's a way, that could be looped now, because that was long.
Risk of serving half long as well.
You know, so I would say long. That one is very hard to flick. You see that the second bounce is towards here. It's not impossible to flick, but it's very hard to flick. Would you
So
say?
that's one I'd probably try to cut short or deep long. Right? If it's a good serve where I'm uncomfortable with flicking, I don't want to force an error. But generally, if their serves aren't too strong or you can read them very well, get on top of it and be proactive.
Yeah. So that, again, there's always ways to kind of neutralize players, whatever skill they have, even if they're insanely good players. You can still find ways. And that's, I guess, the magic of the sport, you know, that there's always a way if you're looking for one. So I would try my best not to flick. I'm the opposite of you. You know, my game is very different to Mateo's. So both sides that we look at today are extremely beneficial for your game.
Right? If you can short touch well and flick well, having both would be ideal.
You know, but flicking is the modern game now, especially backhand. Flicking, forehand flicking, still not that popular. There's too much mechanics. Backhand is just a lot easier to execute. All right, let's go.
Would you say the reason that flick is more popular now is the newer ball doesn't spin as much? So therefore people can't put super heavy backspin on the serve compared to ball?
I just think it's just the sport evolving, right? Like it used to be before pushing was very similar. Like even world-class players would get into pushing rallies. Now it's attack everything.
Yeah, now is attack as soon as possible. You know, and if you cannot attack, don't let them attack. It's all about attacking game now. Very little about defending. There's not many defensive players on the top. Maybe one or two, but now the game is all pure attack. And the backhand and the game is becoming a lot more backhand oriented than forehand, I would say. If we look at the new world champions now, like Fan Zhendong, incredible flick, incredible backhand from the top of the table. If we look at the new kid Harimoto as well, insane backhand, very fast. Mima Ito, insane backhand, very fast as well. Dmitry Orchadov from Germany, incredible backhands. Why is that? Backhand requires a lot less effort to execute a powerful shot than it is to hit a forehand. You can cover more table with backhand, you can generate more spin with backhand, more power with backhand. The game by default is towards the backhand, so the game is kind of evolving from what I've seen lately. What would you say? To become more backhand oriented game, less forehand, a little bit more backhand. Anything else?
You hit it at the top of the bounce, work at the rest, and then you hit not the
Yes, you want to hit it at the top. Off the pure backspin, I like to wait for it to drop. If I'm trying to go around it, just because I really like to load it up with side spin. If it's not to the point where it's too low, right? That just makes it a lot more difficult. For the top spin and the nose spins or the serves where they're a bit weaker, yes, top of the bounce and try to go through the ball as best as you can. But unless you're trying to really rip it, generally top of the bounce.
And so is it back end you're normally aiming for, or could you be wanting to mix it up?
With my placement?
Yeah.
So where would this shot be most effective?
Into the body.
Body, definitely.
Wide.
Because it's curving into them. Right, so if I'm receiving
No,
here.
I said wide, W-I-D-E, not wide.
Oh, wide, yeah, sorry. Wide, I was just going to say, I found wide to forehand very effective as well. Right, just because it's a bit awkward, the ball is curving in and you have a little less sort of room to work with, it's an uncomfortable shot. Especially if you're pivoting from here, where you can get that sort of angle on the ball, it's very effective. But backhand again, effective as well. It just depends where your opponent likes to play their strengths and where they're positioned.
And once again, same thing applies that we've been teaching before, right? That if you flick to someone's forehand and the flick is not high quality enough, you're gonna get counted.
You run a risk, but if you do it...
But if you do it, it's super hard. And then if you flick to the backhand, where are you expecting the next ball to go? Back to backhand, so you can play the next shot. A lot more predictable as well. Whereas to the forehand, if you're not winning the point off the flick, you run a risk of getting counted a little bit strongly. Not so much to the backhand. You can, but you will expect it back to backhand because of the amount of side spin that he's going to get. So if I'm playing here and he flicks to me, I'm going to go here. I cannot go back to forehand, or it'll be super hard for me to try and go there like I missed, right? It's a risky shot. So most people will go back there, and he knows that, and he's ready for that next one. So there's a bit of predictability after flicking to backhand. Not so much to the forehand because they could counter. So that's the benefit risk of doing that.
Is there a drill that you can practice that by yourself?
Yeah. Normally, I didn't practice enough, obviously, but you can just bounce the ball low. I used to practice just like this, just with a ball, a couple of balls, and you just want to work on the mechanic more than anything, like this. I just feel the ball. I can do it amazingly well like this. You know, I'm amazing. I should have demonstrated like this, right? So you can do it really good like that. So you practice the mechanic like that.
It's more just a feel and timing sort of thing. Then once you start playing with other players, you get more comfortable and you'll figure it out. It's not as hard as it looks. It's something that yeah, we can develop.